Welcome to Elevating the Culture, a podcast that explores the complex issues confronting Black men and the people who care about them. Welcome to Elevating the Culture, the podcast that explores the complex issues confronting Black men and the people who care about them. We're back for another episode. I'm with my esteemed co-host, as always, Mr. Russell Brooks.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Mr. Malik Adams.
What's up, peoples?
We've talked about a host of things, and I think we might have touched on this topic before, but introducing the idea of the need for relationship. Brothers need brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But as we get older, relationships become a little bit more difficult in terms of forming and maintaining them with all the competing priorities we have and the fact that we don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
But it doesn't diminish the fact that we need meaningful relationships in our lives. So let's start there. What role do relationships with other Black men play in your life? How would you view that, consider it, or describe it?
It's I don't want to say it's everything, because there's other things that factor into my life and just like how I live my life, but it does fill up a big purpose and a huge space in my life, and just how I navigate the world, because I can't do this alone. And I was going to say wiser. I'll just go with older. The older I get, the more I learn, how important those relationships are, and how impactful those relationships can be with how I navigate the things that I have to navigate, because you can't get through things in life without going through them. And in going through them, when you're able to do that with support, with guidance, with people to walk beside you, behind you, sometimes in front of you,
right?
It lessens a lot of the burden and, the things that can come with, just navigating life. And when you open it up, you always say the complexities of life.
Right.
And, it lessens that complexity. You know what I mean? When you have people that can help you give game, share mistakes, missteps, even just rooting for you and supporting you, like all of the roles that those relationships play is so important. And then, I think it's also important to really take an inventory of who is around you, because that's either going to propel you, or, it's going to be something that is like a crutch, and it's going to limit, what you're doing and where you're going. So that's how I'll lead with that.
Mm-hmm. A couple things. One is, when I reflect back on my own experience, I always often enjoyed being around other Black males, right? A lot of times socially and or athletically, playing on teams. And so when I think of the overall, again, not without its problems, that, regular human problems, but I've always enjoyed it. So those relationships, I was happy to have them, and some of them have extended into adulthood. Like some of the people that I knew then, met then, for different reasons, we remained friends or became friends, closer friends. So I think the importance of that, I think for a lot of people, but I know my experience can't be understated. I also know that at that time, it would be probably more surface level. I think sometimes we talked about some serious things. Normally, the serious things we talked about racism. We share stories of racism. This racist thing that happened to you, that racist thing that happened to you. But again, like we often talk about, we never really went deeper in talking about relationships in general. And so, to Russell's point, I think the value of relationships with other Black men is that I think there's just a common threads that many of us have that connects us together, that there's a level of empathy that I don't know what any other quote unquote group could do. Like, I just want to be sometimes in a space where I don't have to explain every nuance, right?
Right.
And oftentimes that can be Black males. So Yeah, I'll leave it at there for now.
Again, we all seem to reflect or go back when we're thinking about Black men and how the role that they played in our lives. And for me, it's fundamental in terms of my development. When I think about, again, women played some huge roles in my personal development. But in terms of examples, who I wanted to pattern myself in the way that I move through the world after, some of the advice that I got, much of it was garbage. Some of it was good. But a lot of it was provided by Black men. When I think about the times that we've had, whether they've been sports related, whether it's been when we've been mourning, they've always played a significant role. And I'm reminded when I meet other Black men who aren't from Nova Scotia, what a blessing that has been. That hasn't been everyone's everyday experience. True. Right? Where you've been surrounded by pro-social Black men who are committed to your well-being. Right. So for me, they've always been present. And again, I smile because it's a blessing. Absolutely. Why do you think isolation shows up so strongly for Black men? And how do you think that isolation shows up?
Let me jump on this one, Russ, real quick. Is the vulnerability piece, I think, is a big part of it. So we talk about the relationships and the joys and the gifts of those relationships that we were fortunate enough to share and continue to share with other Black men. Having said that, my experience has been it's been a challenge for some reasons we've talked about and some reasons I'm sure we're going to talk about, to be vulnerable. So, I mean, some of the closest people to you, I would imagine, I think of that, I want to have the opportunity to be vulnerable with, because there's an element of trust that's needed. And obviously there's an element of safety. And so naturally, in terms of what we described, you know, some of those people in theory would be Black men, but that's not often been my experience, unfortunately. And it's wrapped up in a lot of things. So that part is a part, if I'm being truthful, that I continue to try to work through, and I guess try to develop relationships so I can ultimately have that. Like I can ultimately have brothers that I can talk about anything to, which is hard.
Oh, thank you for that, bro. I'm just processing my own thoughts around this question.
Yeah, man.
I'll jump in if you want to go.
Go ahead,
so
am I eyeballing me?
Yeah.
Just this is a tough one. You know,
it is.
So like as Malik was talking through, you know, his thoughts, like I'm over here, you know, just sitting in mine, and like I think back to like my own experience and when I was younger, because of all of the like the messaging and like the you know, the boxes that, you know, were placed around us, I think that made me feel like around other Black men or Black males made me feel pressure to be strong, to be,
all right,
you know, to be all of those things. And, you know, when I say all of those things, it meant like, you don't talk about it. You know, we don't cry, we don't share, you know, so I felt like that wasn't a place, or this wasn't an environment where that was, you know, welcomed, or, you know, something that we did. So it was just like, you just had to carry it. You just had to be strong. It was just, you know, it was just a thing that came along with being who you were. So for me, that was just something that took shape at a young age. And then there wasn't really a lot of things that were happening to challenge it. You know, there weren't a lot of things that were, you know, like I said, showing you anything different. So we just kind of like, it was one of those things where you just kind of accepted it and you just didn't talk about it. And it took till I got older. I started to get around people that, you know, started to become more self-aware, people that, you know, learned that their childhood, you know, had negative impacts and effects on them, and they were trying to undo some of that. So then there were kind of some pathways and kind of, like just openings to explore something different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to add to that because I couldn't agree more that when you don't have the tools or you don't believe that you have the voice to express your feelings, that creates isolation.
Yes.
If I can't express how you make me feel in whatever the situation is, then I'm forced to process that internally or find some other outlets to express it.
Right.
It doesn't encourage me to develop a more meaningful relationship with you. It creates
distance.
And great word.
And even like I think about some of the things that we get to witness and observe now at spaces that we're in is when you share now, like you'll see people nod in their head. Some people might smile. Some people might show a different emotion.
Yeah.
But it's a way of letting you know, like, yeah, me too.
Right.
And when I was younger, I don't remember that. If there was somebody that had enough courage to start to unpack or process, people would back away, and shut down. The body language wasn't inviting. It wasn't like there was no opening. It was very closed off. So I love that we've seen a little bit of a shift in terms of how that's received.
Yes. And maybe there would have been individuals in community who would have had license to do that, but they would have been considered different. They're different than everybody else. Like if they're a minister or if they have some type of role where they're sharing that maybe more openly or encouraging other folks, but for the most part, other folks weren't. Other Black men just weren't doing that.
Yeah, and if you think of the logical part of it, right? When you talk about being isolated, again, if I want to share and I'm afraid of how it will be received, or I don't know how to share, or I only know how to share in like one or two ways, which we talked about before, like the limited ways in which we were socialized, then it's probably a logical response that I'm going to retreat, right? I spent a lot of time alone when I was younger, because really it was like, well, let me just go to my room or let me just do my own thing because nobody out there can empathize with what I'm going through. At least that's what I thought. That wasn't true, but that's what I thought because of the way we were socialized and the people that I would have needed the most. And we'll stick with who we're talking about as Black men. In my mind, well, they offer a lot of things, but one thing that they're not offering is that ability to empathize with what I'm going through. That was my thought process. So let me just, isolate away.
Again, something that we need to challenge consistently. Who checks in on you and who do you check in on? In terms of men. And you don't have to be specific and say Russel or Malik, but maybe there's, a certain group of individuals you try to stay connected with.
I definitely am blessed and fortunate enough to say that I got a core group of brothers that it's normal for us to.
And can I just interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
Can we emphasize the first part of the question as opposed to the second? Who's checking in on you? Because I think that, and again, I don't want to hijack your answer, but we do this pretty consistently, but we may not be considering who's investing in our well-being.
No, for sure. Like I said, I got this core group of guys that like it's something that we don't need a reminder. It's become a part of who we are and how we rock with each other. We're just locked in, and it's just if we don't hear from one another in a certain amount of time, like we're on the phone. You know what I mean? It's not just a text thing. We'll pull up on each other. We'll make sure that we see each other in person, and we've been very intentional about it and like consistent, and like even to the point where like if a certain amount of time goes past, like we're worried. Like, bro, are you good? Like for real? Like, because a lot of times you never really know. And there's a lot of times where people are going through things in silence or alone. So we just make sure that it's a priority. It's not just something we say, like we're literally making sure that we're checking in on people. We're being intentional. And I got a couple group chats where it's just like, we're creating this as a space where we can actually, we can check in, we can talk about it, we can share. So I do got a core group of brothers, but then the other thing that I'll say is like one of the greatest blessings that I have is family. And, my family has really been intentional about, checking in, just sending a prayer, just different things that hold meaning and let you know that somebody considered you, somebody thought about you, and that you're not alone.
Right. Well, I got to go in a slightly different direction because I, to answer that question truthfully, I don't think that I have a lot. I'll have a few black men check in on me occasionally, but again, it's all relative, but I wouldn't say, and I don't know when you describe your crew, I don't know, you didn't mention the frequency, but I'm gathering by what you're saying, it's frequent and it's frequent enough that it has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that's not been my experience. I probably have more, black women checking on me more frequently than black men.
Yep.
And again, but the way I think, this is not an outward blame thing. I think I don't know what it is. What I'm guessing is all the things that we talk about. We're busy doing, we're busy performing, or sometimes after that, when we get a chance, we're busy trying to rest or try to relax. And so sometimes I think that there's a lot of those factors play into why not, and the way we're socialized as men, and kind of some of those unhealthy notions of that are attributed to masculinity. I think there's a whole bunch of things. I don't get a lot of men that do that, but I feel like I understand, and at least if I'm trying to understand what it is, then I think that it can get better. Like I have the opportunity to make it better.
Right. Mm-hmm. And just before you jump in, Jude, I just want to say one other thing too, because I think it's important. And I think you kind of touched on it indirectly as you were sharing your piece, Malik. But I think one of the things that doesn't happen consistently is that we don't always allow people to show up for us.
True.
Like if there's people that are being genuine and intentional about it, and like we, rub them the wrong way, or we don't make it feel good for them to check on us. Like we don't even make it feel like we value them taking the time and the energy. Some people will pull back, like, he don't even care, or he don't need it, or he doesn't value it. So I think it's important that we also allow people to show up for us. And like, we acknowledge like, yo, I appreciate you. I appreciate that. I appreciate, because a lot of times that can go a long way. So I think that we need to allow others to show up.
Great point.
Yeah.
Fantastic point. And I think, something to consider. I'm still caught up with Malik because I think my response would be very much the same. I don't think there is a crew anymore. Might have been the case in the past, but not a lot. And I'm just trying to make sense of this because, again, I'm engaged in a host of different communities of Black men through the work we're doing around wellness. And I guess I would say that some of the newer relationships that I have with individuals there, they're more apt to say, reach out and check in. And I don't know if they're trying to cultivate relationship or not, than maybe the more long-standing relationships that I have. Mm-hmm. And again, some of that I know that I have to own. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if we're talking about relationships, there is an investment of energy and time and intention to keep them healthy. For sure. They have to be cultivated just like everything else. And Malik has mentioned it. We get really, really busy, got a lot of shit on our plate. And it's easy to lose sight of the importance of these relationships, of supporting and encouraging the relationships, because it's only when you need them, right, that you start kind of questioning everything. Right.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you both to consider. Because of who you both are and the work that you're both involved in, do you ever feel like there's an assumption that gets tagged on you because of the things that you do and like the spaces that you lead in? Cause like I would say for me,
Yes.
I think that people just assume like, oh, he's leading this. He good. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, yeah, like I just feel like that can happen. And I'm just curious if that's something that you feel like is plays a role in your experience.
Yeah. I mean, if he's helping people, then he can't need to be helped. Like he's good. Like he's running this. Like clearly, if he's supporting us, then, and I don't think it's just us. I think it's a lot of people. We probably, I would imagine we probably do it to others. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, absolutely. There's always that perception. Like I think I was thinking about perception a lot, and even, listen to you guys talk about, the relationship and the check-in thing. I'm thinking that a lot of black males, a lot of black men want to do it, but maybe not know how, maybe not think this is appropriate, or the timing, or how to, or things. And I think there's a number of those things that are connected with how we're socialized as well, right? I think that women are more, I think that, if I'll use the binary things of men and women, I think that when you say caregiving or caregivers, I think a lot of people in socialized automatically go to the women, right? And there's things around that, just even in, my field of education, elementary school, you ain't going to find a lot of male elementary teachers. Like, and there's a whole thing around younger and caregiving, and that's what women do. And men can't deal with the 4 and 5 and 6 year olds, and that's more women. And so, that's the case. Like it keeps going, and then finally you get to a place where, well, I guess we're not caregivers, at least in that way. So why would I reach out and see how people are doing? That's the women in my community's job, or the women in my family's job. That's not my job.
Mm-hmm. And because of that, we, who provide some leadership in community, have to be, not have to be. When we are able to share, check in, and show other people, make an example of it, it becomes a game changer. Again, it's that idea of giving people license. Mm-hmm. All right. I didn't really know how I was going to go. You know what? I like the way that Malik did that. Okay. I like the language you used. Like, I like this get down.
Right.
I can do that. But if you've seen it, say, from somebody outside of your community, maybe that doesn't resonate with you. You can't see yourself saying those things or sharing that information. So, again, always important for us to share and provide leadership in that regard.
100%. And can I just add one thing before we move on? And again, we always say this, I'm sure that it looks differently too. Like I'm saying, at the same time that I'm saying, I don't feel like I have a lot of black men that do that frequently. That's a perception that I have. That may not be the objective reality. Maybe there's more men doing it and I don't see it. Maybe I misinterpret their reach out as not reaching out, or their check in as not checking in, because people do things differently, man. And we're not going to do it in a way that others may expect it to be done. So that's another thing to consider too. Maybe part of the onus can be on us, in terms of the interpretation. Like, what does that look like? Because maybe it does look differently to us.
This is a really specific question. And we'll try it out here. What's one moment when being connected to another black man made a real difference for you?
One moment being connected to other black men made a real difference. There's a lot of moments that made a real difference. I mean, I'll say this is one of the things that come to my head, because education and being in that field is such a big part of my identity. I think of the people who helped influence that. So always, when I think about it, I always give shout outs to, rest in peace, Wade Smith was one guy. Augie Jones is another guy, because those were two, not the only two, but they were the two main guys for me that were like doing what I thought that I wanted to do. like they had the it factor, right? They're smart and they're community and they're likable and they got charm and, good looking guys and they're working it. Like that's what I wanted to be. So they certainly, I'm sure they did realize they were mentoring me. I'll throw Doug Sparks in there too. Doug was big in terms of being the director of Cultural Awareness Youth Group at the time that I came through. So here's a Black man who's taking Black students around and doing things. You know what I mean? Going to different communities, doing debate clubs, sitting on boards, all of those things. So like I remember it all the time and so much that I had to have an influence on me.
So my response to this is something that it's not just like a one-time thing. Because when I think about it, like it just takes me to the times in my life where I've lost loved ones. And as much as like my female supports showed up for me, I didn't really move through the grief process the way that I was able to until the Black men in my life showed up for me and supported me and lifted me up. Like the women, provided me like a shoulder, a soft place to land, but it was the Black men in my life that truly picked me up, carried me a little bit, and reminded me of who I am, and helped me, repair, rebuild, and help me get back on my feet.
So what did that look like? Because I want to like be more specific.
So just it looked a variety of things, or a different ways, but like even just because like those would be lowest moments or lower moments in my life where I was hurting. And I would be sitting in sorrow, sitting in grief, and there was times where it just meant like they came to take me somewhere.
Okay,
we're not negotiating. We're here, and we're not leaving until you come through the door with us. And it would just it would look like just reminding me, like literally there'd be times where people like, man, like people need you, so let's sit in this now, but like we got to get you back to what you were doing, because you're important. You're a leader. You're a a father. You're all of these different things, and like so they didn't say like you can't do this. You got to do this, but just know that we still need you. And just the way that they would pour into me, just like like you mean there'd be times where people would literally say like you inspire me, you motivate me, and hearing those things would light a little fire, and then that fire would grow. And then I would kind of start to feel more and more like myself, and then, like I said, just being around certain people where, I might have went a long period of time without smiling, and they know how to make me laugh. And, they would be intentional about like, yo, let's pick them up. So I think back to different points in my life where I lost people that I was very close to, and the way that they showed up for me is something that I'll never forget. And like, I even think about the way that those relationships grew in that season, so that's what I remember. And yeah,
I love to hear that.
Yeah, man. Again, it's such a privilege to engage in these conversations because it requires you to think, to reflect and consider. And, a host of different images are coming to my mind and scenarios where Black men have invested themselves in me. But I guess the one that I'll mention is the moment that I was hired to work with Ralph Willis, doing kind of community economic development, changed my life forever. Because I was on a path of, it wasn't going to be, I don't think at that point, focused on community. But when I began working with him, understanding his passion and his commitment, the rewards that you derive from investing in your community, the importance of the work, it changed everything.
Wow.
So, yeah, one of the most important relationships. And again, it came at a time when I was a young adult, struggling with my relationship with my father. And he provided understanding and context for me. Again, he understood that my father was a man when I was still viewing my father as a dad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Ralph Willis a lot. Like, so
Yeah, bro.
I know that has an impact.
It is.
It's had a lasting impact on you.
You got it. Rapid fire.
Fire.
Yeah, let's see who got what now.
Fire Bundem.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Grace's lips are frozen.
Right?
I'm looking at you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You talking about right. I'm
over here, bro.
If you could, thinking of, I was going to say just hip hop, but I'll let you just say whatever album genre you want to use. A title of an album that describes your life.
Jesus Christ.
Describes your life. Dang. An album?
See.
This requires a lot of thought. You got to think of album titles and your life.
Meaning and consequence.
Oh, my God.
See, I almost need a list of album titles.
Yo, this is it. I just
right?
Listen, man. Hey, KRS-One Jay-Z, the blueprint. I'm trying to constantly develop a blueprint for life.
Okay, I like that.
How you like that?
Well, I was gonna say, your boy also was one of his albums called The Philosopher?
Song was My Philosophy.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah, no cigar.
All right. Well, nothing's coming to mind right now, so I'll throw with a title.
I appreciate your authenticity. Don't even front. I ain't got nothing, and I ain't got nothing. How about that? How you like that for an answer? I ain't got no answer. How about that?
I will say Ready to Die. How about that?
Oh, Jesus.
Damn.
I'll say Ready to Die.
It got dark in here.
Right.
No. There are things that I believe in that I would die for.
Okay.
There are things and beliefs that I would die for.
Okay.
All right, brother. Jace.
What up? Listen, I'm just trying to pull something out of my hat.
You got to talk that.
So I did think about this, like when we were taking a break. So for me, it's Nipsey Hussle, The Marathon Continues, just because, life is a marathon and we just got to keep on pushing and moving and navigating. So I think that's
John Henry. He's back. John Henryisms.
That's a fitting title. So
no, I like that.
No, it is. Yeah,
I love that, bro.
Love it.
What you got?
Let's keep it light.
He drawn blanks on the answers and the question.
I got a couple of questions here, but best decade in basketball.
Oh, come on, man.
You the 80s, you the 90s, the 2000s. You say, come on, man.
For me, it's 90s.
It could be now.
90s?
90s is me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who stands out for you in the 90s?
MJ. MJ, but like even just like there was just classic battles like, Barkley, Reggie Miller, John Starks. Like there's just a host of different players and, even Larry Bird. Like there's just guys that basketball was different then. And like I feel like the guys would come in and play for one team typically. They would just be a franchise player and he'd only play with that franchise for, their entire career. So the 90s was my era for me. That's where I would go.
I mean, I obviously fell in love with it in the 80s, and Laker fan. And then when we got to the 2000s, I would say that would be my thing because, remain a Laker fan in the Shaq and Kobe years and dynasty. I just was like, yeah, this is great.
It's kind of funny you didn't mention Michael Jordan's name and all that, but okay.
Well, he's not the 80s or the 2000s.
No, you said 80s or the 2000s.
I said, yeah, I fell in love with it in the 80s.
So you didn't give an answer.
No, I tell you, well, listen, man.
He kind of gave two.
That's my answer.
That's what he does.
Well, two's better than none. Damn.
I'll go with 2000s too now. Again, Michael Jordan was my favorite basketball player growing up. But he has been supplanted by LeBron. And I don't want to get into the comparison in terms of the skill set, but in terms of contributions to community and who I would want to, who I identify as a role model, I just gravitate towards that. Not to mention the fact that he is a basketball savant, and I watch basketball solely right now. And again, he's on his way out because of him. I'm not too. I don't really like basketball the way it's being played in the NBA right now. So,
yeah, it's a different game. Somebody asked me about it yesterday. Like, what do you? I can't remember what they said. We happened to be at a basketball game, and they were like, "Well, when you played," and what I was like, "Well, it's a different game." It was actually a good question. She asked me, and she was like, "Well, what do you think about the skill set?" I said, "The players can play." And we were just talking about high school. I was like, yeah, they can play. A lot of them have. I said, but it's just a different game, so it's hard to compare. You know what I mean? It's just hard to compare sometimes, errors, whatever. But yeah. So my thing actually, when you mentioned something about the impact and community, that was going to be my rapid fire question of, again, I love to stick with this theme of underrated and community. I love the underrated, man, because I'm trying to bring the underrated to the rated. Like, so you can't pick the typical community activist, and this could be local or global. But someone or something that should get more love
in terms of community involvement and activism.
Yeah,
I'll just and this isn't. I mean, it's somebody that people know, but maybe not in this light, but the Williams twins.
Yes.
So Andre Williams used to be my basketball coach and track coach. And I was driving back to Dartmouth with him after going to provincials for track and field. And I had just placed fourth in the 100-meter finals for provincials, and I was defeated. And just like the way that he breathed life into me.
Oh, wow.
And I know that he's done that for so many people, him and his brother.
Right.
And so, to me, those are like the unsung heroes. There's people that have poured into people in ways that they, might not have knew in the moment, but like, when I left, it was down in Kentville. When I left that track in Kentville, I was defeated. By the time that I got home and got out of his vehicle, I was motivated.
I love that. And I happen to know them, Andre and Anthony, good, and always good energy. Like, I've never known them not to be smiling and not to have good energy, like good dudes. My first teaching job actually was with Anthony.
Okay.
At Ross Road.
Okay.
And that it was one of the guys I hung with through the year. Like, we had a lot of fun, man. And Andre actually was doing his teaching degree when I was studying but I think he was doing elementary. But he never pursued it. He went in a different direction. Like, he got his degree, I think, but went in a different direction. Smart move, Andre, actually. But yeah, so yeah, good dudes, man. Good dudes.
I'm going to say Nordisha Drummond.
Okay.
An aunt. Since I've been 19, I've been involved in creating programming, a lot of it focused on youth. And I had an aunt that before I was doing these things was always organizing events, getting us as young kids together to play Reno Keno and other kind of games together, getting us together to create crafts. And so when I began working with Ralph and developing these interventions,
right,
she was ever present. She was always there. We had a Saturday school program. She never got paid, but I can't remember a Saturday that she didn't show.
Oh, wow.
So she's somebody who, again, would be stopping children in the street and asking how you're doing.
Yeah.
And celebrating when you said whatever it was that you were doing. It didn't have to be anything significant. Just sharing was enough most times. So she is one of those individuals who breathed life into you, who valued children, and a whole generation of kids got to benefit from her intention.
I love that. And a nice, kind person.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Never gonna get no shine.
No.
Never is gonna get any shine.
No.
But the work she did was amazing.
Yeah, that's invaluable. I love that, man. And for me, where I know all the people, it resonates. It resonates with me. I wasn't even thinking of this until you mentioned it, and I actually I got to shout out one of my boys, like Sean Mantley. But I don't know how well you guys know Sean, but Sean is a guy that doesn't really want any shine. I love him like a brother. He's an odd dude. Sean, if you're watching this, you know it. Like, you always been a little off kilter. But that's a guy.
Shout
out to Sean. That's how black men do. It's always like a
take a stab
backhanded.
first. Yeah.
Take a stab. Yeah. Backhanded compliments, but that's my guy. But like Sean doesn't ask for anything, and he doesn't want the shine, but he would do anything for you. He'll, like, if it requires, leg work, he'll do that. If you you need somebody to man the barbecue, if you need somebody to pick something up or drop something off or drop people off, like Sean will do it. And he doesn't even plan to do these things. He just sees where, there's a need and he fits in, and you would never know it. Like, you would never know. And he's involved in like official community stuff. He's been long involved with Africville, work and all of those types of things. But he's not that guy. Like, he doesn't, he's not a spotlight guy. He's in fact the opposite, but he really, would do anything for you pretty much if you asked him. And even if you don't ask him. So he's an underrated guy, man. That's my guy. I give him a shout out.
That's what's up.
All right, yo. What is elevating you when it comes to brotherhood? When it comes to male masculinity? Who's pouring into you, or you pouring into others? What is elevating you?
Just sitting here and going through this episode, for me, what I'm leaving this conversation with is just the importance of mentorship.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's understated, undervalued, but, just thinking back to the rapid fire, the people we just celebrated, and just mentorship's important, and it's really something that can truly elevate you if you allow it to. It's important to be able to give game, but also receive game, so you're never going to know everything, and there's always somebody and something that you can learn from. So for me, mentorship, and it's something that's helped me. And like, I have a mentor right now that I connect with monthly, and it's something that's helping me grow professionally and personally.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
I love that. So I'm piggybacking off of that, because this wasn't going to be my answer, but now you talked about mentorship, so I'm a part of the other side of mentorship, like the mentor part. So I don't know if I told you guys. I feel like I did, but anyway, I'm part of a mentorship program for BIPOC students, right?
You did mention, yeah.
And it's real, and so I have 3 mentees. They're all like graduate students. They all have their masters. One's working towards their PhDs, and I'm like, but we do it in an Afrocentric way. Like, we don't like, oh, I'm pouring, I'm filling your cup with wisdom. Like, it's reciprocal, right? And so it's cool, but it's a nice process to go through. That's elevating me. And one brother who's doing his PhD, from Nigeria. Another sister is, from Ghana. She has her master's. Another sister is from South Africa. So the other thing is and this is through Dalhousie University, and I didn't even know what it was. I just like the idea of mentorship. I thought that it was going to be like a bunch of like first year students and second year students, and they're not. But I'm still older than all of them. I guess sometimes I forget how old I am. But, anyway, it's cool, man. Like that's kind of elevating me to be a part of it. And I'm not doing anything special other than just trying to just actually say, I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. Like, don't underestimate yourself, man. Shoot for the stars. Like, do your thing. Reach out of whatever you need. And they've all expressed like gratitude. But I showed it, I've expressed gratitude for being a part of their lives because I probably wouldn't have met them otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool, man. So that's elevating me.
That's what's up.
I think I struggled this whole episode with answers.
Be some fuel.
We can't have him on here after eating lunch.
That's it, man. What's the question again?
What's elevating you?
Cool.
And it was his question.
The last number of mindful conversations we've had, there have been new folks joining the calls. So the fact that this bi-weekly connection still is dynamic, folks still see value in it. And there's some new personalities kind of joining the conversations, which brings another element.
Nice.
That's something that's elevating me, right? And the conversations have been really tight the last month and a half.
Nice.
I believe that people have taken some value from them. So,
how long now? 2 years? You've been doing mindful conversations?
It's us and not you. And I don't know. Is it 2 or 3?
I think it's just been over 2 years.
Just over 2?
Yeah.
Cool.
I said you and I meant you. I'm getting no attitude.
See.
I'd be all politically correct. It's your show. You're the show.
It's our show.
But that's good though, man. You've been doing that a long time. And I think that longevity means something. And then also the fact that you're getting new people. Yeah, that got to be elevating you, bro.
It is.
That's awesome.
That's what's up.
Damn, brothers. Sheesh. Knock this one out the park too, I believe.
I'm like, yeah, we did.
How could we not, right?
Yeah.
Right? And we talking about brotherhood. Maybe we'll sign off the same way we started, which is brothers need brothers.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Yes, sir.
Peace out, folks.
All right, peoples.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.